On Easter, we had watched The Passions of Christ. Was like, "Sure, let's give it a shot," we're kinda trying to go down that road, and, I had known the story, but I didn't really know the story. Like, I knew he was crucified, I knew that he died on the cross for us, but I didn't know all the things that came before. I really did not know what they did to him, and I cried watching that movie as hard as I cried the day I got the phone call about my mom.
Yeah.
I could not stop bawling my eyes out, and I remember the movie ended, and Jared just looks at me and he's like, "Well, what do you think?" I never in my life have been silent and just had no words to give. I don't think I did not speak for, like, 3 days.
Wow. All right, you guys, we are back with another episode of the Convert Devotionals. I am really excited to have these two on today. I've really been looking forward to this episode. We have Annika and Jared. I found you guys on social media and I saw your baptism picture, Annika, and then I read a little bit of the story. And that's why we're here is to have you guys share your experience, your conversion, and it's just a really cool story. I only know a little bit, but what I do know is good. And I'm excited to hear the rest. If you guys just want to introduce yourselves a little bit, and then we can get started with your story.
So I'm Annika. I am originally from Utah, born and raised, and I was brought up around a version of Christianity that doesn't even really have a label that I know of. Um, my mom was a Reiki master and a massage therapist, so she was very big on energy and things like that, but we still prayed very traditionally. She was, originally a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My grandma also was a part of that, but I guess they had left the church before I had really come into the world, so
Mhm.
I had to start on my own independent journey that obviously happened pretty recently, but Jesus was always a part of it, and God was still always a part of it. It just wasn't very traditional. Yeah, I very recently got baptized. Jared will get a little bit more into his story, but he was always a member. Um, I think by the time we met, he wasn't super active.
Mhm.
And so the last several years of our marriage have been not as strong in the church. So for both of us, it has kind of reignited definitely more recently, but Jared's always been a member. So why don't you go on with that?
Yeah, so I'm Jared. Um, I kind of bounced around from time to time. Like when I was a kid, I went from living in Indiana, and what brought me out to Utah was our house actually got blown over by a tornado,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, it was crazy. And my dad found work with one of my mom's brothers here in Utah,
Mhm.
and at the time, my dad wasn't a member. He's actually a convert too. Um, Living with my uncle, he's a member, so he got introduced to the missionaries and all that stuff, and knowing that my mom was a member, he kinda was like, "Oh, well, why not?" So he converted to the church, and then we moved here out to Utah when I turned 8, and then I got baptized into the church, and so I lived being a member my whole life pretty much. But up until so I served a mission. I served in, Fresno, California for my 2 years,
Mhm.
and, it was a really great experience, very humbling. There's a lot of humbling, scenes out there from people to where they live to what they eat. Like
Mhm.
I thought I knew poverty until I was out there and I was like, wow, this is crazy. It's a very humbling experience. Kind of brought more. I would say I was grateful for everything that I have now
Yeah.
because out there those people don't get those luxuries like a nice apartment, food on their table sometimes, and so.
Mhm.
with that experience, I came back. Some things happened in my family, happened within the church, and it drove me away. So I
Mhm.
left more on the lines of, we trust a bishop. And I understand that people are not perfect and we make mistakes on the daily basis. And so, but because of that, my pride got in the way and I left the church for almost, let's see, I got back in 2018 and I left shortly after. So 6 years, something like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, then I met her through traffic school, and I was still inactive. And it's just it's been like a roller coaster of a life. And being a missionary and me teaching these people, hey, you follow God, you put God first, and everything will be fine. But at the time, I was like, as long as I have a good relationship with Him, I'm okay. I'll just do it on my own. I've done it on my own my whole life, so I'm not too pressed on it. I have a good relationship with him. Me and him are tight, but that's about it. That was
Mhm.
but then within our marriage, it was very, young marital couple. It goes up and down. It goes up and down. And then there was just one experience that we went through that was kind of tough for the both of us. And my life just seemed like it was just falling apart, like one piece after another. That puzzle that you set for your life is starting to crumble one piece at a
Yes.
time. And I kind of just looked at myself, looked in the mirror after listening to these do it yourself books like how to get rich, how to spiritually get this and that. But it wasn't until I talked to one of my buddies and he told me like, "Dude, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you have a relationship with God, your life is gonna like follow suit per se." And
Mhm.
so I was like, "Well, I don't want to go to any other church because I've already experienced other churches. I've experienced the Catholics. I've experienced all, and I'm not bagging on any of it, buddy. As long as you're good, like seeking out God, that's all that matters, right?"
So
But
you
I'm
knew
taking
where to go. You had already experienced other churches, and when you decided to try to come back to God, you knew that it was through the Church of Jesus Christ.
yes. So,
Okay.
like, my fundamentals, like,
Yeah.
I've been to evangelical church, I've been to my
Mhm.
dad's Catholic church, and so I take it down to my roots where it's like, things ring true a little more here where I grew up, and that's
Yeah.
in the LDS church. And, I now coming back to the church, I was doing it on my own terms, not based on the testimony of my parents, because us as kids, we we kind of base our testimony like you go up to fast and testimony meeting, and you're pretty much reiterating what your parents just said,
Yep.
and that's how it was my whole life. So this time around, I wanted to do it on my own accord. I wanted to find God on my own and just experience these things by myself.
Yep.
And that's kind of what drove me to come back was these hard times, doing it by myself. And my bishop himself, which he's honestly one of the big keystones of me coming back. He's on the younger side, but he's
Mhm.
a very smart and intelligent man. He said, like, "Jared, you're a strong person, but just imagine all the load that you have right now and just giving it to our Savior who has already felt your emotions, has gone through your experiences. And if you give it all to him, your load is going to be lifted completely because you have that help." And eventually I just said, "Okay, I can't do it anymore by myself." And I just gave it all to him and slowly things started working their way the way they're supposed to. And um I was going to church sometimes. She would come with me. I would take both of the kids, or I'd take one of the kids, and she'd stay home. It would just depend. But she's been seeing the sister missionaries for good while, on and off. But
Since Chloe still is pregnant with Chloe,
yeah, so
our
it's
4-year-old.
our 4 year
So
old.
how many kids do you guys have?
2.
Okay. And you said one's 4.
One's 4 and one's 3.
Okay.
I remember when we met and we were dating, I had no plans on converting. I watched my sister get baptized also in Arizona.
Oh, cool.
And she went, I think she did it because her friend group was LDS and her boyfriend, and I think her boyfriend either baptized her or was just a big part of that for her, and, um, I just don't think that that's something you should do for anybody but yourself.
Yep.
Um, and she was young, right? Like, I can't even hold it against her, like, she was just, influenced, and what a positive influence, right? But it's just more of a personal thing to me.
Yeah.
Spirituality has always been I've always like I mentioned earlier, God has always been a part of the picture, but it's always been a very private relationship with God where, like, I don't like to pray in front of people. I've
Mhm.
always prayed to myself alone in my car, in my bed before I wake up or before I go to
Right.
sleep. So, I remember when I met Jared and I had found out, and I might rewind even farther back a little bit because it's kind of part of, like, I've just been given these little crumbs that like were just him kind of reminding me, like, I'm still here. Like, whenever you're ready, I'll
Yeah.
keep showing you I'm here. But um I was very adamant with Jared, like, if we get married, like, I know you're a member. We may never get sealed in the temple, and I know that that was a big part of marrying an LDS man is, like, I don't wanna have any expectations. I'm not saying that will never happen, but I'm not saying that it ever will either. It's just
Yeah.
that's not something I will ever do for you. It's something I have to do for myself, and, like, I need to be very sure that that's what I wanna do.
Yeah.
Um So, to go back even further, I mean, before I even met Jared, I think I wanna start with my very first experience because I kinda mentioned
Yeah.
how I've been given these little crumbs, and while, I was kinda raised around the concept of God, I've had a handful of my own personal things that, like, where I know God was showing me that he's listening to me and he's here for me.
Mhm.
Um My mom, while she was an amazing woman, very smart, my mom passed away last year,
Oh, I'm
in
sorry.
December. It's okay. But she was amazing in my younger years, right? She was a businesswoman. She was like with her massage therapy. She was very into health with food, with her energy. She wanted to keep energies clean. But we didn't ever practice praying together. It was like not very. It was Jesus centered. Kind of, like, we'd have a picture of Jesus in our house, but that was, like, the
Mhm.
extent of it.
Mhm.
Um, but later in my life, my mom became an alcoholic, and I got to witness the detriment of alcohol and how really evil that is. And my mom was born right after Halloween, always big into scary movies, and I just remember we were watching, The Conjuring together. And she paused the movie and went out for a cigarette and came back, and I swear that, like, something had taken over her because it wasn't whatever happened next was not my mom. And yes, she was under the influence, but this was, like, more than just a drunk episode. Like, I
Yeah.
had seen that before too. I knew what that looked like. This was very
Yep.
different. Um, but I just remember it like, she had attacked me, but it was this thing inside of her that was basically telling me, like, that I wasn't gonna make it through the night, and it was really scary. I mean, I think I was 10 years old, um, and my mom had really terrible health issues. She hadn't officially been diagnosed at this point, but she was very weak, like, physically weak. So, I was able to overpower her physically and just get her to a point where I had her under control. I had her hands just so that she couldn't do anything. And I was cursing. I was saying these, like, and I'm like not I'm 10 years old. This wasn't like a normal thing for me, but I just had so much adrenaline. I was like, get the F,
Yeah.
out of my mom.
Yeah.
And I was saying just all these terrible words. And it, like, I say it because I swear, like, it was speaking through her, but it said, we know we have you. And I just was shook to my core. And so I went the opposite direction and I started praying. And I started using Jesus's name. I said, "In the name of Jesus Christ, get out of my mom. I cast you out." I was trying all the cliche movie things that I'd seen. I didn't
Right.
know officially how to do it, but that was the only thing that could get me out of the grip to get to my room and get to safety. until the next morning. And so that was my first real life experience that, like, okay, Jesus' name has power. Like, that's not just any name you can just throw around.
Mhm.
But I still was kind of in denial that any of it happened. It was very traumatic. So I just kind of, I still didn't go as close to him as I should have at that point. Years later, I ended up leaving home at like 17, and I was kind of couch hopping until I found a friend whose family was willing to take me in long term.
Mhm.
And I was working, I was really learning like gratitude. Because I went from not knowing when I was going to take my next shower, not knowing where I was going to sleep, or really like I had no security of any kind, to I live in this, it was like a porch add-on to my friend's house. So what used to be like a deck outside, they had put walls up with
Mhm.
giant windows.
Mhm.
That was my bedroom. There was no insulation, there was no ventilation. It was literally as close to being outside with being outside as you can be. So as
Mhm.
cold as it was in the winter, it was in my room. As and as hot as it was outside in the summer, it was in my room.
Mhm.
But I was just so grateful to have a bed to go to every night. I was so grateful to have a roof over my head, that I was with safe people, that I didn't have to question if I was going to be able to take a shower before I could go to work.
Mhm.
Practicing the gratitude changed my life, but I was still like missing something. And, my mom, it was just me and my mom. She was a single mom. All I really ever wanted was family. And I was 18 at the time. And right around my like 19th birthday, I just was in my car. I'd just gotten home from work. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And I just sat there in my car and I was so emotional and just started praying. Like, I described, like, I need a man. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I just want a family. I obviously, I have a type, right? I want him to be brown. And, if he's like purely Hispanic and his mom, hopefully I can have a good relationship with his mom, because I don't have that with my mom.
Mhm.
Like, I want somebody who was a part of the church, but maybe isn't right now, because I still want them to accept me, and I'm not a part of that. And I don't know, I just described so specifically what I wanted in that moment. And then I run this stop sign in my neighborhood, trying to rush to the gym. This boy had just broken up with me. I thought, this is the worst day of my life. And then I have to go to traffic school because of this. And I meet Jared. And I had no expectations of it turning into anything. It was just some boy I met at traffic school.
Right.
And I remember going home. He had a fiance or something at the time. The only reason I had gotten his contact was because he mentioned he did car detailing, and I had a soy sauce stain in my passenger seat.
Mm.
And I was like, that looks like somebody pooped their pants in my car. Can you help me please
Yeah.
get that out? Is that something that you can do? I'm sure this guy doing his own little business is going to be a lot cheaper than some
Right.
big name company.
Mhm.
I was like, is your fiance going to be okay if I get your information? So that's the only reason I had any sort of contact beyond traffic school. I get home to my best friend that I was living with and I go, man, I just saw the cutest boy at traffic school. Like, but he's engaged. And then I made a joke, and she said, I was like, maybe that ring will end up on my finger one day.
Oh.
Purely kidding. I had no intentions of, like, in
Right.
that moment, truly marrying him. But I just thought he was so cute, but I'm obviously going to respect that he was in a relationship. I bump into him at the gym later down the road. I ask him, how's your fiance doing? He's like, oh, we broke up. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe that means that we need to go on a date. And we ended up spending every day together since our first date and got married within 5 months
Yeah,
of knowing each other.
I feel like it sped up a lot faster because it was during COVID. So
Mhm.
COVID lockdowns, we were literally in the apartment all day, every day because we couldn't go anywhere. So
Right.
we kinda
Totally.
got forced to get to know each other a lot faster because that's all
Yeah.
we had time for was just talking and talking and talking, and
Yeah, but what really blew my mind is just the specific things that I had asked for in that prayer. Like, I asked for an outgoing man because I just need somebody to bring me out of my shell and help
Mhm.
me with my confidence, and I can't remember all of the things, and I wish I could for this episode, but I just down to, like, the very last detail, I just couldn't even deny that this wasn't or, like, I couldn't deny that this was not a blessing from God, us meeting, like, this was absolutely supposed to happen, and this was the guy that he had sent me because his mother is amazing. She really has been nothing but a light in my life and has taken me in. Um, we both, there's a little bit of that language barrier, but we
Yeah.
even through that have been really, really close and been able to really bond together, and so having his family just be so warm and loving and welcoming me into the family. I got to have the big family that I always wanted, and then I got to start my own family, and I just kind of couldn't deny that he answered that for me because
Mhm.
it was too specific. He served a mission, but he's not exactly active right now. He's actually okay that I may never want to get sealed in the temple, which that was like, "Are you sure? You know what you're
Right.
signing up for?"
Right.
But here he is, and, I never would have expected, like, when I say I'm probably the last person in the family that anybody would have expected to convert, because my dad's side of the family is all still very active, but I
Yeah.
didn't really connect with his family until I was an adult.
Mhm.
Um, so that was just a big telltale for me. Um, and then, yeah, these last 4 years have been crazy. Like he said, we've been on and off. I think when we first lived in our first apartment, so that first year of being married,
we had the elders.
we didn't really go. Yeah, we had some
Yeah.
missionaries come, um, and me coming from a woman that taught energy, I feel like I'm very sensitive to it.
Mhm.
I noticed when I let the missionaries come in that there was just like this energy they brought into my home that just felt so light. There wasn't, like, all the heaviness that was in our home, like, just from the stress of work, the stress of getting ready for the baby to come. I was pregnant with our first, baby, and there was just so much around that, and my mom just being the way she was through my pregnancy, none all of that just kind of didn't really matter when they were in our home, and then they'd leave, and it just felt, like, light, and, like, we could
Love
breathe
that.
better almost. Like, the air was clearer, I don't know.
I
But
love
I
that.
just really enjoyed, yeah, how that just left us feeling, so I had them continue to come.
Yeah.
And then one of the girls was going back home the day after I gave birth to Chloe, and so she came over, the bishop came over, I think everybody came over. We had, like, 10 people over at our house from the church the day we came home from the hospital, and so our missionaries got to meet Chloe before they left. We ended up moving here, and we kind of fell off the wagon again because we got our son blessed. He was 4 months old when we moved in here, and my dad was excommunicated.
Mhm.
Um, he went up, it was Testimonial Sunday. Jared does a beautiful blessing for our son Tony, bears his testimony up on the stand, and then my dad gets up there. He does no testimony of Jesus Christ. He talks about how wonderful his mother is. He mentions that I'm not a member, but he's so grateful that Jared was willing to accept me anyway.
Wow.
And then my father figure was there as well. And so my dad goes, and Jared is her dad too. So I'm like, great. You just let my whole ward know my very first day here that I have daddy issues and
I
I'm
know.
not a member. Like, so embarrassed.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and people still remember it to this day, actually. It's terrible, but
Like, "Oh, your dad was the one that came up to test."
That's
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one that was in testimony
Uh,
Didn't
meeting.
you guys
One of
didn't
those
you
you'll
guys have
never
trouble?
forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh my gosh.
we
one
didn't
for the
show up for our
book.
cases for a whole year.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it
That's
was
oh,
terrible. It
Hmm.
literally hindered us from going back. It was just
yeah,
we were so this is our first day here, and what an impression we just made.
yeah,
What a mess. And
yeah,
so but even with that, I think that we almost needed to see life without being a part of the church, like, really was
mhm,
like, because I think at the old apartment, we were going kind of on and off. We weren't very consistent, but we were trying. We had my mother, my bless her heart, she had hung up some pictures of Jesus in our home without my permission, and my I love her so much. The intention was so good, but at the time, I was drinking alcohol in my
yeah,
kitchen, and I didn't
yeah.
want Jesus watching me do that.
You're like, let's put him away for a second." Just kidding.
Yeah, like, I was vaping,
Yeah,
and I was like, "I don't wanna sin in front of Jesus,"
yeah,
and this is my home, but I never took it down.
yeah,
So I think that there were some things that, like, were there almost protecting us in a way, not to the full extent, right? Like, we were getting a little bit, but not what you can really get when you're fully engulfing yourself.
yeah,
And then we went completely mute, and we were drinking a lot. We were not ever going to church. We were avoiding the missionaries, and that was a rough time in our life financially, within our marriage. It was a very trying time. And so we eventually came back to the idea of like Jared first was like, I, want to start going to church. I want to just try that again. And again, we were kind of on and off, but he was trying to go. He was trying to get back on the wagon. Like you mentioned, taking our kids sometimes. I'd show up sometimes, but then I'd be told, "Oh, aren't didn't you guys have that baby blessing?" And then I just couldn't go
oh,
again.
no.
Yeah,
I
it's like
was
every
hoping
time.
enough
You're
time
like,
had gone
"Can't you just
by.
be nice and not talk about this?" Like, I'd
I
be
know,
like,
like
"Hey,
It's
yeah, there's
almost
a
been a
reason
year
I
and a
didn't
half,
come
and you
back
guys are
to
still
church."
going.
like,
Yeah,
I
there's a
I
reason
think
I
that
didn't come back to church for a year. Now you just brought it up. Like, pour some salt in that wound, please. Like,
seriously.
I wouldn't like that either. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I really think that they were like, they had good intentions, like, they were trying to
Yeah.
let us know that they remembered us and
Yeah.
that we were not forgotten.
Right.
And so, like and I can see that, but it was more, like you said, kinda salt on the wound of just like, "Oh, man," like, I was hoping that, like, we'd all forgot about this, we could move
Yeah.
on.
Or maybe they were just trying to make, like, light of it because they
Yeah,
probably knew that it affected you guys, and maybe they're like, "It's okay."
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Oh.
the only memory that they have of us actually
Yeah.
coming the first time, so they don't really have anything else to kind of base us off
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why every time we'd show up, "Oh, you're that family."
Yeah. All the
Oh,
scenarios are with good intention. Whatever it was, I don't think it was ill-willed, I don't think it was malicious, but it was
right.
just my own embarrassment got the best of me, but embarrassment is not of God either, is it?
Right.
Like, so I eventually had to kind of learn my own lesson, and, I started having the missionaries come back over here, and we found just some really good ones. I was asking them the really hard questions, asking them, "Well, what about the bishops that are not good people?"
Yeah.
What about Joseph Smith being married to such a young girl, with not having all the information? They answered the question, and, it makes a little bit more sense. Now, that's not to say that Joseph was perfect. That's not to
Right.
say that any of the bishops are perfect.
Right.
But that was probably one of the first really big lessons. I think that's another thing that's kind of made this transition for me personally really easy. Our ward, I have to give so much credit to our ward, our bishop. We're in a ward where it's a bunch of young couples that are just like
Well,
us. It's
awesome.
all the same kids' age, and so we're all going through it together. If my kid's not doing it, their kid is, and so we don't even have to like nobody says a thing because we're all just taking turns on who gets to be
Yeah.
loud that Sunday,
Yep.
so that's made it where we don't feel like stressed bringing the kids. They've all been honestly really warm. I just like we were saying, them bringing that up. I don't think it was ever out of malice intent. I think they were just trying to start a conversation, really.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think we had probably our most trying time last year, and that's another time where just we weren't committing to it, like, we had been 1 foot in, 1 foot out for so long. Um, Jared had lost his job and
Two of them.
yeah, and then lost
Oh, wow.
another job. It was just a really rough time. It was right after Christmas, and everything was just kind of falling apart. I had just started a job in July from being a stay-at-home mom, thinking, okay, like I'm gonna start helping him out. I want to help carry this weight because this is crazy. Um, and we got to a point where, we were about to really just throw in the towel and just say, well, let's just do it separate. Um, and then Jared had a conversation with a friend. He had a conversation with the bishop. And right around Halloween is when we decided, okay, we're gonna give this one more shot. Um, and right after that is when my mom passed away. And so it was just like everything hit the fan at once.
Hmm.
Um, but I had some kind of feeling in my heart with my mom. Like that was just another kind of spiritual moment for me where I didn't really know what to believe. But I know she had passed away from cancer. She had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis since I was 13. She actually got
Oh,
diagnosed on
wow.
my birthday.
Okay.
So she just was not, she went from being like the most independent human being in the whole world to not even being able to drive her own car.
Mhm.
So I've always just felt really sorry, like I can't imagine what it's like to have like the rug ripped from underneath you like that. And then to be living in such pain where she described her whole half of her body to be like numb, but like that like pins and needles feeling when you like sit on your leg too long
Mhm.
and it falls asleep, that feeling when it's starting to wake up, it was like that constantly.
Mm.
So that wasn't fun. And then she's
Mhm.
getting health issues where she's sick all the time. She, is having accidents that children have, and
Yeah.
she's on a walker at 40 years old. So I just know she wasn't like, she's just miserable. She wasn't feeling good. This was not a life anybody should have to live. So when she passed, I mean, I was devastated. Like that was the person that raised me. That's all I knew. It was always just me and my mom my whole life. And I couldn't help but feel peace for her that she was not in pain anymore. I meant like mentally, emotionally, physically. She was finally like all of that was over for her. And then we went to church again and I just was like, I just need to go. I don't know why. I just have this impression that I need to go. And we still weren't very good about it. We went from on and off to not going to back to kind of on and off.
Mhm.
And this time it was like we were only showing up on testimonial Sunday so unintentionally. It was never on purpose. It was just, it so happened to be the Sunday we were like, all right, let's go. We need to do this. And I was always ugly crying in sacrament. Just like whoever was up there speaking and bearing their testimony was talking to me every time. And I had to really start reflecting on like, why does this make me so emotional? Why do I cry so hard and feel that so deeply? And my missionaries asked me, do you feel like you know Jesus Christ? And I just broke down crying because I was like, I know the name, but it's like I know the name Hannah Montana, but
Right.
I don't know her.
Right.
I don't have any relationship with her, but I know the name. I know that she's a great singer. I know that he's a healer. He can perform miracles. I know he died on the cross for us. And then on Easter, we had watched The Passions of Christ.
Oh my gosh. This is my same story, guys. This my husband's he converted in 2016, and this is exactly I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we watched
No.
The Passion of the Christ on Easter Sunday, and this was his biggest experience too, like one of his biggest spiritual experiences.
It was the only thing that was streaming at the time, you'd expect, like, something to be streaming on all these platforms like
Right.
Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, but no,
Yeah,
nothing was streaming, so I saw, "Well, do you wanna watch The Passion of Christ?" It's a
right.
little on the harsher side, but
Totally
it's
is.
about it's about Jesus, so
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry I
No,
interrupted you.
you're
Go
good.
ahead.
Don't be sorry. That's cool that we have
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
experience. But I was like, sure, let's give it a shot. We're kind of trying to go down that road. And, I had known the story, but I didn't really know the story. Like, I knew he was crucified, I knew that he died on the cross for us, but I didn't know all the things that came before.
Right.
I really did not know what they did to him.
Right.
And I cried watching that movie as hard as I cried the day I got the phone call about my mom.
Yeah.
I could not stop bawling my eyes out. And I remember the movie ended and Jared just looks at me and he's like, "Well, what do you think?" I never in my life have been silent and just had no words to give.
Mhm.
I did not speak for like 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Like it took me a minute to process and really like digest what I had just witnessed.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a huge turning point for me of like, okay, I really need to take this seriously. Like that was when it just hit me like he didn't die so that I can go smoke
Right.
and drink and be, a just angry person. Like he didn't die just so that I can go do that. He died so that because I did that, I can go to heaven still and be forgiven.
Yep.
And I don't want that to be in vain. I think that was like he did not just go through all of that for me to just not take that seriously. And which is honestly, I realize like being crucified, let's just like that alone, right? Just isolate that part of it should be enough.
Mhm.
But to really see all of that, to see the way that they were whipping him and then to watch him carry that cross up to that mountain, it literally took my breath and my words away. And I was like, I can't let my life be in vain anymore. I can't let that be for nothing. And when he said, "God, please forgive them, for they know not what they do," I really felt like I knew, like I do know,
Mhm.
and I need to respect that and do something about it. And so I really decided like, okay, I want to be serious about this. I need to stop being so wishy-washy. Like there's a reason that this affects me so bad. Like I don't need to keep questioning it. I don't
Mhm.
need to keep asking God for proof. Like, okay, if you give me the husband that I want, I'll believe in you. If you can give me the house that I want, I'll believe you.
Right.
Like how much more can he do for me before I can finally just accept that he's real and he's here? Um So, shortly after that, I had decided that, like, okay, I want to start really working towards getting baptized. So the missionaries really started their lessons. I think at first they were really just letting me get all my questions out of the way. They were just kind of letting me be skeptical. But when they knew that I was like, okay, I'm ready, really ready to do this, they really started their lessons and really started to teach me. And I have to give those girls so much credit. I will go on tangents. I don't know if you can tell from this. But they let me talk and they let me talk and talk and talk and share. And I got finally through my lessons and was like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And they were just like, really? Like, you really want to get baptized? Like after all these years, after all this
Right.
time, you do? Yeah. Yeah. I Yeah, we had decided that I wanted to do it. I was still kind of sitting on a day, but then we picked the date. And another testimony I have is just it's kind of silly, but that Satan will only come after those that he can see are going the right way,
Right.
right? So I go to work the next day and I get asked basically because I was going out of town. I was going to Las Vegas for my best friend's golden birthday, and I had mentioned to because I do medical resupply. A patient had asked if I could call him the day I was going out of town. I was like, "Can I just call you sooner?" And a coworker was like, "Oh, where are you going?" And I was like, "Going to Las Vegas." They mentioned, "Oh, are you gonna go get Turner?" And I was like, "No, like I'm not." And they're like, "Why not? You're going to Vegas. Why wouldn't you do that if you're gonna go there?" And so I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting baptized." And long story short for that, I got in trouble for mentioning
Oh, at work?
yeah, for mentioning about my baptism,
Oh my
which is
goodness.
crazy because these are also people who will speak very foul things, like speak about sexual things. They'll
Mhm.
have foul mouths, just cursing at work. They'll say terrible things to each other. I was talking about a friend that I was hoping to get hired, and someone said, if she's anything like you, I don't want her here.
Oh my goodness.
And so I'm like, just the contrast of what's okay and what's not okay in that office was crazy to me. But
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm getting attacked for not even preaching the gospel.
Right.
Literally just saying, I am choosing to get baptized. And yeah, I didn't get written up, but I was talked to because that offended someone. And I think someone who's dealing with some demons, and that would only offend someone like that, right?
Right.
Um so that was kind of like, oh wow, that's interesting, just something to observe. And then I was obviously trying not to I had decided not to drink already. And that was already pretty easily done for me because I watching my mom, I knew that was something I didn't really ever want to be a big part of my life anyway.
Right. Right.
But now I don't want to have any part in it. Um I was vaping and I had told my missionaries I'm going to be in Las Vegas. I I'm just afraid of the temptation. I don't
Mhm.
wanna be tempted to smoke weed, I don't wanna be tempted to drink alcohol, I can't try to quit nicotine and have all these other things that I'm gonna be tempted by all at the same time. I think that's gonna be too much for me. So I brought my vape, it was my very last one. I went to Vegas, and I was the only sober person in the group, and that was eye-opening. When I tell you I felt like I was surrounded by literal zombies.
I can relate. I'm 12 years sober and it took a while for me to be like, okay, I'm never going to be able to drink again or have fun again, right? Like
Right.
my life was like, oh, it sucks that I can't do that again. But seeing those people when you're sober and you see these people that are drunk or throwing up
Mm,
or just being total idiots, you're like, okay, this just sealed the deal. I am so
yeah.
glad that I'm a recovered alcoholic. I'm so glad. But anyway,
Yeah. No, it's true. It's so off-putting,
yeah,
and, I was the same way, like, "Oh, man, I'm not gonna be able to go have fun anymore." I love to
yeah,
dance,
yeah.
and so going to the club or going line dancing was, that was
Hmm.
so fun because then I can go dance and I can go have fun with my friends. But really, that's such a dumb excuse because I can go to Zumba class at my gym.
Yeah.
I can still go to line dancing and I don't have to drink alcohol. But it's true, but, it's also, maybe I can, like, influence someone. If
Yeah.
I can show one person there that, you don't have to be drunk to enjoy this,
You don't. Yeah.
that's still good too.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it was very humbling. I remember, walking down Fremont Street, and I literally had to go back to my hotel because I needed oxygen. There was so much
Yeah.
smoke in the air. I
Yeah.
could not breathe. It was making me nauseous, and I'm like, "I have been vaping for 10 years. My
Yeah.
mom smoked cigarettes my entire life. I should be used to this, but the fact that
Mhm.
it's I literally need to go somewhere where I can breathe oxygen for a minute, that's crazy. And
Mhm.
nobody's eyes, somebody said it so perfectly when I was describing it. It's like the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by zombies. Nobody's gonna remember their time there.
Right.
And that was another thing too, is I had been to Vegas a few times before, but I don't remember any of it. And that's terrible. I
Mhm.
am so grateful that I got to go with my best friend and I got to remember everything we did.
Mhm.
Um, and then I came home and 2 weeks later I was baptized. And I just remember coming home and just the it was so fulfilling to know that I could have easily gone and drank. I could have
Mhm.
easily smoked weed. It was legal there. I could,
Right.
have done all those things and let the FOMO get the best of me.
Yep.
But I don't know, it just felt really good to be able to come home and say, like, I did it. I did the thing that nobody thought I could do. I have, like, this it feels so good to me when I prove people wrong.
Yeah.
And I think
Yep,
I've always
totally.
been that way.
Yeah.
But for me to come home and be able to still say and look my missionaries in the face and say, "I did it. I'm clean. I can still get baptized."
Love it. Yeah.
It was such a good feeling, and then my vape had died. I told him, "As soon as this vape runs out, I won't smoke anymore."
Yeah.
Um, the first couple days were rough, so I got some nicotine gum,
Mhm.
and I was chewing the gum up until the day I got baptized, and that's just something I will always be super honest about. I was really struggling with the nicotine, and I had tried to quit several times before to quit vaping.
Yeah.
I just could not do it. But I have this beautiful baptism, um, and then I remember thinking, like, before like, leading up to it, like, "Okay, they're gonna dunk me, and I'm gonna come out of that water and not even know what nicotine is." Like, it's gonna like, this magical thing where they just erase my memory. I have no urge or nothing to want to do that ever again.
Yeah.
And I just remember being so overwhelmed with emotion, so overwhelmed by how many people showed up for me, that immediately, as soon as we walked out the church doors, I was craving nicotine.
Mhm.
And I hate
It's
that.
real. No, yeah, it's real. It doesn't take it away, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But Jared tells me, like, "You're like a blank sheet of paper right now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I am, huh?" And then he pulls off this whiteboard off of our fridge, and he completely erases it. He's like, "This is you right now." He goes,
Mm.
"If you put that piece of gum in your mouth, this is you." And he, like, just puts a dash, just like a little mark with the whiteboard marker. And then he goes, "And then you drink alcohol, and then you do this." And he just kept putting all these, like, little marks on the whiteboard, and I just was like, "I don't I wanna be a white, clean sheet of paper." Like, that really got to me, and I really appreciate him for pointing that out because I have not touched a piece of or any sort of nicotine or anything since I've been done. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't touch anything since then. I've
Oh,
been completely clean. It's felt easy. I've had no withdrawals. I've had no headaches. It crosses my mind, but I don't feel the urge. I don't feel like there's an itch that I need to scratch like I
yeah.
used to feel.
Right.
And I can only give credit to Jesus for that because I've tried 100 times to do that on my own
Yep.
and it's never worked. And now I do it with Jesus by my side with me in my life and it feels easy. And I hate to say that because I know that there might be an addict hearing this and being like, "That's not easy to do. I've tried 100 times."
Yeah.
I understand that alone it's not.
Or might have a different experience that they still have a hard time even after they've been baptized or they mess up, which is
Right.
okay, that's what the
Right.
atonement's for. Everyone's different.
Yeah. And again, like it still crosses my mind. It's still like, man, I would normally be like hit my vape right now after
Yeah.
this or
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's more of like a habit that I'm still kind of like learning how to navigate life without it. Like I,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much time it filled up in my life.
Oh, totally.
And now I get
Yeah.
to like use that time with my kids,
Yeah.
my kids don't feel like I I want to be a good example for them and they don't see this stupid thing in my hand that smells good when I
Yeah.
am vaping it and they're like, "Oh, I want to do that when I grow up too. I want to be just like you." I'm like, "No, no,
Yep.
no, no, no. No, no,
Right.
no. You don't."
Yeah.
So, I'm grateful to finally be living a life that I am proud of and that I feel good doing and I don't have to hide any part of me anymore and I think it's a really good step into where we're supposed to be and I am really grateful that you asked us to be a part of this podcast because I feel like since I've been baptized, I've just wanted to share the gospel and just share
Yeah.
with people like this is true and this is life changing for the better. It's not just, something that people do for fun.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it really is so fulfilling, and it's so it really does make the hard things easy,
Yeah.
and it brings so many blessings. Financially, we're so much better. Our marriage has been so much better. Our relationship with our kids has gotten so much better.
I love it.
It's Yeah, it's just been an amazing experience, and I'm just really, really looking forward to helping other people come closer. I just got given a calling last weekend to be a primary teacher.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, I'm so excited. I remember I told my missionaries and my bishop, like, I want to do something with this. I want to get on social media, and I wanted to start a podcast. I wanted to do some like short video content on TikTok, something like
Yeah.
that. But I just really want to share and
Yeah.
like be very, I don't know, like I definitely feel like I have a unique perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that there are people that look like me. They have tattoos, they might have
Yep.
piercings and think that they don't fit in because they don't look the part. And my husband and I have tattoos.
I think you guys do. I mean, I have tattoos. My husband has tattoos.
Yeah, it's been amazing though, and we definitely this is a really good first time kinda getting to share because
Yeah.
I plan on sharing more and more, and I've got a big mouth. I say things with my chest, and I might not always say it perfect the first time, but I would like to try because
Yeah.
it's, better to say it wrong than to not say it at all.
It's true. I love that.
So from January up until this point, I think it's like 9 months. So I haven't drank
Right.
a single lick of alcohol,
Good for you.
which, there are those times where my buddies are like, "Hey, let's go catch a beer or let's go to the sports bar, watch the game." And I'm sitting there like, gosh, my guys, I love you, but I'm not going to be drinking. And this last time around, like, I started not drinking in the group. So I was the one that started that. And then my buddy kind of tacked on to that and he stopped drinking. And now half the group no longer drinks.
Awesome.
And so it's been super nice to see. The smoking was a little harder for me just because I was doing the smoking on top of doing pouches, on top of doing other things. So I would the smoking definitely hit me a little harder. And I think the hardest one for the both of us has been the coffee.
Oh,
The
yeah.
coffee, because I work construction, so I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and our routine is go to the gas station, we fill up the trucks, and we have our morning coffee, and
Mhm.
we go about our day. And then the sister missionaries was like, "No, you gotta give that up too." And Jared,
Mhm.
you have to give that up too. And I'm like, it's one of those little details that it totally slipped my mind because it just became so routine. And I was like, well, she's gonna get baptized. She's gonna quit it. So I gotta be supportive and I'm gonna do
Aw.
it. And so I quit it the same time she quit it. And not gonna lie, it's still pretty hard because like my coworker still gets his big old thing of coffee and I smell it
Totally.
every morning. And I'm sitting
Totally.
there like,
I know.
holy.
I know. The smell, yep. Oh, I totally get it. Yep.
So it that was the doozy for me. But the blessings are there for those that will hold fast to the rod. And um it's been a pretty nice lifestyle that we're living in right now. I mean, our house is always chaotic, with having kids, like dishes pile up, laundry doesn't get done, but there's a different spirit in the atmosphere. There's a
Mhm.
lot more lightness in the house. And I mentioned that a couple weeks ago to her. I was like, it just feels different in here than
Yeah.
when we were doing things that we weren't supposed to. And so from her baptism to this point, it's just been easier. We were seeing a lot of fruits of good. Like there's still money in the account. We're not blowing
Yeah.
it off on vapes or these nicotine pouches or my
Coffee.
coffee.
I don't think that people should, because I know that, even just families, right? Like my parents were more like, "Come on, I don't know if you're ever gonna find a guy that's willing to accept you." Like that's how my
Oh,
family was. Like,
right.
and a man of God, you better like not let that one go.
Right.
Like it was very much like maybe you should get baptized, for him if you want him to stay with you. And
Right.
I just was like, absolutely not. Like I'm gonna try to keep him, yes, but like
Like I said, I gotta tip my hat over to our bishop because he kinda said something similar to me where he's
Yeah.
like, "Since you are the patriarch of the household, you gotta be that light, that beacon that will attract." And so I never like she made when we got married, she's like, "I don't want you to press it on me. I'm not gonna be going. If I'm gonna go on my own terms." And
Right.
I told her, "Okay." And I respected her boundaries and I never pushed. I never was one to just lay it on her like, "You gotta get baptized," or "Come read the scriptures with me," because like, whatever. Like, I I respected her in that way where I was like, "You're gonna find out on your own if you're gonna find out on your own." And if I come back to the church as I was, I wanted her to just continue doing what she was doing because I knew eventually from listening to the bishop, listening to the stories at the church, I knew that she was gonna have the feeling for herself, and there was a
Mhm.
peace in that the Lord gave me that I knew it was a comfort thing. The Spirit touches your heart,
Yeah.
and it touched me, and it was telling me that time will come. Be patient. Time will come. It'll be her time, and her time came, and it was just it was a beautiful ceremony. The baptism went super smooth, and it was just amazing to see because it's like one of those like proud dad moments
Oh,
where
totally.
so I sat there and I gave thanks to my heavenly Father, like, "You were right this whole time. It was her time. You work in mysterious ways, so I'm not one to question you." And now it's just moving forward within the gospel, and there's a lot of temptation out there. There's a lot of you know, the devil likes to throw salt. He likes to cut where it hurts. Um, but I know that if you just keep that faith in the Lord, having Jesus always on your side, He's gonna be there to help. And like I said, like right now with how the world is going, it's chaos out there. There's way
Mhm.
too much evil,
Right.
and it's gotten to the point where you can actually distinguish. You can cut it with a knife between the good and the evil.
Mhm.
And I want to do more that's good because good will always trump evil no matter what.
Mhm.
You light a match in a dark room and be able to see. So I feel like right now is a very important time to not just be part of the gospel, but share it on top of that too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people need it in their lives, even though they may say that they don't.
Mhm.
Uh, our our beings, our souls were programmed to follow the creator, whether you like it or not. That's how we
Yeah,
were programmed from the get-go.
exactly. We all
And
have the spirit of Christ in us.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah, Jared is really good and basically what he shared, with his friends and the drinking and with, just going to church on his own and letting me do my thing. He's been
Mhm.
really leading by example. And I think that, I'm hoping that that also rubs off on some of my people that aren't a part of the church and they can see the changes that it's brought to my life,
Mhm.
as well as his and our family and, just however we are able to influence, we want it to be in the name of Christ. We want to influence people to follow suit because it is important and it's definitely we're coming to a point in time where it is becoming very evident the good and the evil and
Mhm.
it's kind of time to pick a side,
Yep.
and really commit to it.
Totally. I think we've seen that a lot this past month. Like you can just yeah, you can cut it with a knife, just like you said, Jared. It's so true. And you got to pick your side. And we need to have the Holy Ghost or the Spirit of Christ, which all of us have the Spirit of Christ. And I knew that Chris had the Spirit of Christ when I met him. And even though he didn't have the Holy Ghost yet, my husband, you could feel that he had the Spirit with him still.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you guys were able to come on. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And it's so crazy how much in common that we have and that Passion of the Christ, like, experience, your, like, big experience that you had, like
Really
Yes.
excited to come on, and we're grateful that you had us, and would like to keep in touch. Love that we have that in common. How cool.
I
It'd be
know.
fun to meet sometime.
Thank you for reaching out on my socials. I
Yeah.
have a lot of like, I have people always because my content on my TikTok is, that, like, blue collar humor
Yeah.
like, my bodybuilding stuff is on
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
so when I posted her baptism, surprisingly, there was a lot of people that were like, "Congratulations, like,
Yeah.
welcome, sister," and just super warm and loving, and you reached out, and I was like, "That sounds fun."
Yeah, but the fact
Yeah.
that you came across it with his content
Yeah.
being the way it is, like,
Right.
it just feels like it was supposed to
It
happen,
was
so
meant to be. No, it really was. It really was. Thanks
well,
again,
thank
you
you.
guys.